Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Town International Academy welcomes you in this Google Classroom section. Today we will discuss energy and different form of energy. What is energy and how different form of related energy are related to each other, and how energy can be converted from one form to another form, how energy can be saved, the different way of a conservation of energy. So energy is today's topic, and it's very important topic regarding CIO level. Let's discuss the contents of today's lecture. We will discuss energy by definition, different units used for energy in physics, smaller units, larger units we will use, and we will use we will discuss the different form of energy, how one form of energy is converted into other form, and the law of conservation of energy. We will apply law of conservation of energy to different practical life examples. Now, by definition, everything in the world is able to do work because of energy. So we can say energy is the capacity of doing work. It is the ability of a body to do work. So it is the definition of energy. For example, sun is the main source of energy. If you see in this universe, the main source of energy is sun. There is a nuclear fusion reaction involved in the sun, where energy is radiated, energy is released in the form of electromagnetic rays and reaches the surrounding. So sun is considered the main source of energy. We will discuss the other sources, some are renewable and non-renewable energy resources as well. Now, the unit of energy is measured in joules and somehow pronounced as joules. The bigger units are kilojoules, which is equal to 1000 joules. Energy in different science subjects, for example, calories in chemistry, they are uses in different uses of for example, in higher physics, electron volt is a unit of energy. There are so many different units of energy. So in basic levels we will discuss joules, and the bigger units will be kilojoules, and which is 1 kilojoule is 1000 joules. When anything happens in the physical world, energy is somehow involved. Now, the next portion will be, we will discuss the different form of energy. There are different form of energy. For example, the first form is chemical energy, the next is kinetic energy, potential energy, light energy, sound energy, thermal energy, which is somehow considered as solar energy, electrical energy, nuclear energy, wind energy. Now, chemical energy, we will discuss all these forms of energy in details, but in generally chemical energy, the food we eat contains chemical energy, the fuels, the battery, petrol, diesel, fossil fuels, all they contains chemical energy. Now these chemical energy is converted into thermal energy by burning these fuels in the presence of oxygen. So heat is released from these chemicals or oil, etc. The next will be kinetic energy. Any object moving, any moving body, it has kinetic energy. So energy of a body due to its motion, any moving body possesses kinetic energy. Potential energy is basically the energy of a body due to its height, due to its position. It is two types: elastic potential energy and gravitational potential energy. The next will be light energy, the energy which is coming from the sun. Sound energy, sound is also a form of energy. Thermal energy, heat energy, we can say. The energy which are also coming from the sun are solar energy. Electrical energy, one of the most used form of energy, a flexible form of energy, easy to use, easy to control, easy to transport. electrical energy is one of the most important, because ultimately all the form of energy is finally converted into electrical energy, which we are using. Nuclear energy we will also discuss in details. Uranium or radioactive fuels are used in order to convert these chemical energy inside the fuel into electrical energy in nuclear power plant by using fission reaction or fission control fission chain reaction. We will also discuss wind energy. Wind turbine, the kinetic energy of wind are converted by generated directly into electrical energy. So wind is also a form of energy. It is a non-conventional form of energy. In this list we will discuss some are conventional, some are non-conventional energy. Strain energy is also another form, which is elastic potential energy. Gravitational potential energy is one of the other form of potential energy. Strain energy we will also discuss. Elastic potential energy possessed by a body when it is stretched or compressed, so it has elastic potential energy. Now in next lecture, and now let's discuss chemical energy. Now chemical energy, fuels such as coal or petrol are stored for the chemical energy. When fuel burns, the stored energy is released, usually as a heat and light. Chemical energy is stored in our body in batteries also. You see there is fuels just like coal, petrol, uranium, etc. You see the batteries, the cell, they also contain chemicals. The chemicals are in this dry cell, or even electrolytic cells contain sulfuric acid, etc. So they all possess chemical energy. These chemical energy, either they are burned, converted into heat or thermal energy, or these chemical energy are converted into electrical energy. Now let's discuss kinetic energy. A moving object has kinetic energy. The faster the object moves, the greater kinetic energy it has. Means any moving object possesses kinetic energy. The formula of kinetic energy is half mv square. M is the mass of body and v is the velocity of body. So it is the product of mass, velocity into velocity. So kinetic energy, it depends on speed of body. Now you see the moving car, it has kinetic energy. So kinetic energy was energy possessed by a body, which is energy possessed by a body which is in motion. So now let's discuss the next form of energy. It is potential energy. Energy of a body due to its position. So formula is potential energy is mgh. In this formula, m represent mass of body, the h represent height of body, and g represent gravitational field strength. G, the value of g, it represent gravitational acceleration. It also called gravitational field strength. It is basically the force exerted by any gravitational field per kg of a body. Now you see this waterfall, it has potential energy because it is falling from certain height. So any object which is placed at certain height, it has potential energy with reference to the ground position. So potential energy is the energy of a body due to its position. You see this is another example of coconut which is falling from the tree. So it is also energy. Now let's see. So we are discussing the different form of energy, which is light, heat, and electrical, potential, mechanical. We later discuss the potential energy and the kinetic energy also as one of the two form of mechanical energy. Now discuss the thermal energy, solar energy. If you get close to a hot object, you may feel thermal heat, it means heat energy coming out from it. It is energy traveling from a hotter object to a colder object. Uh, this energy is basically transferring from one body to another body due to temperature difference. So in order for thermal energy to travel, there must be some temperature difference. If two bodies are at the same temperature, so energy or thermal energy or heat cannot transfer between two bodies, and these two bodies are said to be in thermal equilibrium. Now the next form is sound energy. Sound energy is produced due to vibration. When we struck a body, vibration is produced. So when vibration is produced, it produces sound. So we say any vibrating object is a source of sound. For example, the vocal cord of human body, when we speak, if you place your finger at your vocal cord, you will find that this your vocal cord sound box is vibrating. So any vibrating object produces sound, and it is considered to be a source of sound. Sound, we will discuss later in later lecture or chapters, that sound is basically a form of wave. It travels in the form of a mechanical wave. It is longitudinal wave. It has compression and rarefaction. There are so many terminologies regarding sound, just like frequency, time period, amplitude of sound, and etc. We will discuss all the wave form of sound, how it is produced, and human audible frequency range, etc. We will all discuss, but it is just basic is that sound is a form of energy. It is produced when a body is vibrating. You see the example of loudspeaker. How a loudspeaker works, we will discuss this in electromagnetic section, that you will see the vibration is set up because of AC waves. Electromagnetic principles, we will discuss this. The cone oscillate to produce sound. It is oscillation is set up in the cone of this loudspeaker, back and forth vibration. So vibrating body produces sound. Now the next is electrical energy. Electrical energy is considered to be the most convenient form, easy to use, somehow safe, easy to transfer, and easy to control. So if you see all other form of energy, we human beings are trying to convert finally into electrical energy. For example, a nuclear power plant, nuclear fuels are burned, they are converted into steam, and the final output is electrical energy. If you see the thermal power plant, you will find the final output is electrical. If you see the solar power plant, the solar panels, you will find the final output is electrical. So electrical energy is considered to be one of the most important form of energy, and widely used. Industrialization of any country or development of any country is basically based on the commercial sector, the industrial sector. All these are based on the supply of electrical energy. And electrical current is a good way of transferring energy from one place to another. It carries electrical energy. When the current flows through a component such as a heater, it gives up some of its energy. You see, electrical energy is associated with charges, positive charges, negative charges. Electron basically flows in a conductor. So electrical energy is associated with the motion of electron. Electrical energy, it is considered to be the most important, and it is very important form of energy. For example, electrical energy, importance of electrical energy is it can be converted, it can be transferred from one place to other. You see on the highways and motorways, the electrical poles, the electrical double circuit line of electrical energy at motorway, and single circuit line which is transferring from generation station to the cities. So electrical energy is easily transported. It can easily be controlled, just like for example a single breaker. If you off a single breaker, it can off the electrical supply of the whole plaza or tower or any city. Or if you switch it on, so it can supply electrical energy to various sectors and various places. So it is very very easy to control. Now nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is basically energy associated with nuclear fuels. Nuclear fuels are radioactive fuels which are considered to be very very dangerous for human being. They emit radiation, and their safety precaution are very very important. This nuclear energy, in order to obtain this nuclear energy, we have to build nuclear power station. A nuclear power station is one of the most complex, difficult and most expensive to build. In Pakistan, in our country, we have two nuclear power stations. One is in Karachi and the other is in Chashma, Miawali. Two nuclear power plants we have. Now there is a third one, upon which the work is started and is in progress. So the, only 2% of the whole country, the whole Pakistan energy it is obtained from the nuclear energy sources. So it is very very less. A close relation of the chemical energy is nuclear energy. Uranium is an example of nuclear fuels, which is a store of nuclear energy. Now in nuclear power plant there are so many fuels, just like plutonium, uranium, etc. Are used. Different isotopes of uranium are used in a process known as nuclear fission. In nuclear fission, uranium is split and energy is released in the form of heat, which is then converted into steam, and then the steam run the turbine, and then it is converted into energy, electrical energy. This steam turbine is coupled with generator, and so it is converted into energy. There are two processes involved. The one is nuclear fission reaction, the other is nuclear fusion reaction. Nuclear fusion reaction is very complex. It requires temperature at million degrees Celsius. There is no lab in the world which can which where this process can happen. It is only happening in the stars and heavenly bodies like sun and different stars. It cannot occur. Nuclear fusion reaction cannot occur on Earth. There are different researches. They are trying. Different countries are trying, but it requires very very high temperature, and there is no lab uh, which can tolerate such a high temperature, which is in million degrees Celsius. There is no lab which has this much thermal stability against this high temperature of million degrees Celsius. So it is somehow difficult. It's not impossible. Maybe in future the countries are doing hard work, but it is for constructive purposes it cannot happen. Destructive purposes it may happen. So uranium is one of the most important nuclear fuels. It emits radiation, but there are some problems related to nuclear energy for the poor countries. Just like initially I have said, that it is difficult to build. It requires high skilled scientists to build. Secondly, it is very expensive. The next is very complex to build. Secondly, the maintenance is very difficult. It requires high level of fuel, uranium, high quality. The major problem is it emits radiation. Nuclear fuel, the waste of nuclear power plant, also releases harmful gases. So it is all harmful radiation, which is also very dangerous for the health of human beings. Now wind energy. Wind energy is caused due to the thermal energy of the sun. Huge convection currents set up in the atmosphere and wind cause For example, wind energy. The wind energy is the kinetic energy of wind is utilized. It is used, which run the wind turbine. It is coupled with generator, and electrical energy are used. This energy is an environment friendly. The only problem is it kills the bird. The site location is very important. The average wind pressure must be sufficient to run the generator continuously 24 hours. So it is environment friendly. Secondly, it does not have any smoke, etc. It does not pollute environment. The only thing is somehow sound, and it dangerous for birds. uh, but it is non-conventional form of energy. It is the modern form of obtaining energy by utilizing the kinetic energy of wind and converting into uh, electrical energy. So it is also a form of energy. Now all these form of energy are interconvertible, and this is very important, that these forms of energy are convertible. According to the law of conservation of energy, energy cannot be created or destroyed, but can change from one form to another. It just only changes from one form to another. It can be transferred from one form to another, but the total energy of the system remains constant. We human beings are just converting one form of energy into convert. For example, giving the example of electric power station, water is stored in reservoir at height, so it has elastic gravitational potential energy. Then it is released with through the penstock, the pipe, which leads the water to the turbine. So it has now kinetic energy due to motion. Then this turbine is coupled with generator. A generator converted into electrical energy, and electrical energy is further converted into light and heat and so many different forms of energy. So if you see, we are just converting one form of energy to the other form of energy. In all the processes, the energy transfer is involved. The energy states of energy, the forms of energy, are converting into one form of energy. It is all around you. If you see the practical, I have so many examples. For example, if a driver applies brake, the kinetic energy of the vehicle is converted into heat and friction, sound. So these are basically conversion of energy into different form. Everyday example of conversion of energy from one form to another. For example, if you see if you throw a stone upward, you see chemical energy of the human muscles converting into kinetic, and at peak point it's gravitational potential energy, then kinetic, and when it hits the ground, the sound and heat energy are also produced. So chemical energy is converting into kinetic energy, gravitational potential energy, then kinetic energy, and finally heat and sound energy. So this is the example of law of conservation of energy, that energy is converting from one form to another, but the total energy of the system remains constant. If you see gravitational potential energy of water changes into kinetic, it is waterfall. If you see the height, the water has some height, so it has gravitational potential energy, and in waterfall it is released on certain height. So assignment number 1, students are required to complete this assignment. It is very easy assignment, and uh, just to understand, these are the very basic concept of physics and energy. Now first of all, you have to define energy. That energy is basically a form of energy. Energy is actually ability of a body, the capacity of a body to do work. You have to discuss certain form of energy as well, and you must have somehow a little knowledge regarding each form of energy. Now the next, you have to define the law of conservation of energy. And energy can be converted from one form to another. It can changes from one body to another body. You cannot destroy or create energy. The total energy of the system remain common. We are actually we cannot create energy. We just actually performing a generating energy. Generating and creating is a different word. Generating is basically converting one form of energy into other form of energy. So it is according to the law of conservation of energies. You have to define it, and you can give an example also. Now differentiate between renewable and non-renewable sources of energy. This portion is not in your lecture, but you have to search for some internet is available. There are different sources of knowledge are available. So you have to define it: renewable energy sources, non-renewable energy sources, and secondly, you have to give examples of these energy sources. You can find easily on Google these simple definition. It also available in your book, and you can, if you check out in lectures, you will also find it. How solar and nuclear energy are used. Solar energy, how they are used, you have to somehow go to in details. For example, solar cells, nuclear energy, you have to discuss about nuclear fission reaction, which you will study in radioactive chapter. So you have to write these questions, you have to complete it, and you have to add, you can add more if you want. So this is the assignment number 1. We will complete this energy chapter in the next lecture, inshallah. If you have any question, you are most welcome to ask question. If you want to add something, if you want to say something about it, if you are during your search on Google or internet, if you find some words which is difficult for you, which required explanation, you are most welcome to ask question. You just enter the Google Classroom, you can pose your question, you can type your question. Teacher is available for you. He will answer all your question and queries. So don't hesitate, please ask question. If you have any question regarding this lecture, if you want to add something, if you want to say something regarding any topic, if you need further explanation, you're most welcome. Secondly, contact number of your teacher, not only physics but all the teachers you have, so you can discuss with these not only in lecture but direct contact. You can pose your question on WhatsApp, you can directly call your teacher. It is difficult time, because of COVID-19. So there are so many ways. You have to use these modern tools and ways for education. So don't hesitate, please, and ask question. We will answer you, and we will support you in this regard, inshallah. I hope you understand this lecture, and that's all, and thank you, and Allah